Hey you guys, thanks so much for coming in on today's video. Once again, my name is Shatina, and yeah, I thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. So, after much thinking and being frustrated with, negative thoughts and things like that pertaining to how to show up on YouTube and trying to figure out like what's working and what's not working. I don't know. I'm just gonna be me. Okay. I'm just gonna be me. And being me is quiet. Being me is not really having a whole lot to talk about. But when I do have something to talk about, then I do, I do talk about it. So today, I'm just going to talk about what I learned. Okay, so for the last 2 days, what I do is I use a Bible app. So a year ago, I started a Bible challenge on the app that I use. I didn't start it, but I mean like I subscribed to it. And it's a challenge where you're supposed to read the Bible in 365 days. Read the entire Bible in 365 days. Well, I was committed to doing so at the time that I subscribed for it. But after a while, I stopped reading. And so it says that I'm 200 and something chapters behind. So I've been trying to catch up. And I haven't been perfect in it as far as like how many chapters I read and things like that, because sometimes it'll give me 2, sometimes it gives me 3, sometimes it gives me 4, per day. And since I'm behind, it doesn't really matter if I do 2 days worth of reading or 3 days worth of reading. I'm still behind, but nonetheless, I'm still reading. So currently I'm in the book of, so what it does is it gives me New Testament and it gives me Old Testament. So I read a couple chapters from the Old Testament and then maybe a chapter or 2 from the New Testament. Okay, so today it gave me so the section I'm on now is Esther and Acts. So I'm going to talk about what I've learned in Esther because that's what's sticking out to me right now. So I don't know if anyone who's watching has read the book of Esther, but basically Esther is a woman who had humble beginnings. She was an orphan. Both her parents died when she was young, and she was raised by a male cousin of hers. And he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to go and raise her or anything like that, but he did. And he raised her up well enough to where she eventually had a good life, from what I could tell, from what I read, she had a good life. So there were some things in between, her being raised by her cousin to her being in the good life, right? And so these are some things that I got from that, and I wrote them down, so I'm just going to share them how I wrote it down as best as I can. Okay, so in the book of Esther, I learned that pride and jealousy can lead to demotion and death. I learned that humility and willingness to learn can lead to promotion, preservation, and safety. Preservation and safety, I know, are the same thing. But, yeah. Okay, so one thing that I noticed about Esther, from the time that she was being raised by her cousin to the time that she was turned over to the care of staff um, that were part of part of the king's household. She was listening to the men in her life. For it started with her cousin, listening to him and all the instructions that he provided to her that ultimately helped her get to where she was. And then two, the men that were in charge of her care while she was living in the house of the king. And, you know, by her listening so well, she became a queen. She became favored. She had influence. And she even got to a point of where she saved lives. She saved her own life, her cousin's life, the life of all the people that were of the same nationality that she was, the same ethnicity that she was. So that speaks volume. Okay. And then I noticed that with Vashti, who was the queen before Esther, she represented what it was like to be like prideful or disrespectful, right? Even though she was like supposed to be a really beautiful woman, her beauty is probably something that was probably one of the things that helped her to become queen, right? She's so mesmerizing, right? Well, she still got demoted. The moment she became disrespectful, she got demoted. Okay. It's like, who knows what her life was like after being demoted, because we never hear from her again. She went from being in this high esteemed place to not being seen again, not being thought about probably. Well, I'm thinking about her now, and because I feel like it's a reflection of this YouTube thing right now. Yeah, beauty and having the gift of gab and all that stuff, it's very important when trying to, when trying to get noticed, I guess, on YouTube, when trying to get these views and all of that stuff. But I'm also learning that having the right kind of heart is what matters. It's probably what matters more. It's probably what's going to keep a person around for the longest time. So I definitely have to take that into consideration. So these are things that I'm learning, and I kind of have to check myself on when I'm doing these videos, because it's so frustrating. It's like I'm not jealous of anybody. I'm not, but I'm probably acting pridefully, So, and I don't know. It's something. It's something. But anyway, let me continue on. So another thing that I learned is that men are important. Okay, and their presence matters. So Mordecai, which was the name of Esther's cousin, he stepped up to raise a child who wasn't his. I don't know how old or young he was when he began to raise her, but he didn't have to do that. He didn't even have to share with her the things that he knew. He didn't have to really probably teach her anything. He could have just had her do, just go around cleaning the house or whatever, serve him dinner, whatever the the caveman like behavior is that that is displayed to a man who from a man who don't really respect women or anything like that. You know, he just looks at them as like a vessel, you know, for his pleasure and you know, his dominance and things like that. But he wasn't like that. He shared with her the things that he knew. And you know, the things that he said to her, the things that he taught her, those are things that prepared her to be in the high places that she would be in. And not only that, how he carried his own self spoke volumes, because it made another man jealous. Haman, he was jealous. He became so jealous that not only he wanted to kill Mordecai, but he wanted to take out everybody that looked like him. The whole, you know, the whole race of people, the whole, you know, that was him. And he got the king to agree with it for some time. But, you know, Esther was up in the place at the right time, and changed all that. You know, so it's crazy. So, I don't want this video to be too long, but those are just some things that I wanted to share. And yeah, I hope this video finds the right people. And if you are that right person that this video is speaking to, I'm glad you got to see it. All right, bye.